to accept the presidency of Liberal International?
I accept.
He accepts. Then I ask Julie to take my place as new president of Liberal International.
Well, thank you very much to you all, first of all, for electing us in the Bureau. And we will start now with the closing session. I would also like to highlight, like Hans has done right now, the success of this Congress. Of course, it just doesn't happen by chance. It happens because there was an excellent and impeccable hosting by the VVD. The efforts that the VVD International Office and the entire Secretariat of the VVD have done are amazing. The financial support also. The financial support also of the VVD, that's always something to keep in mind. The support by the Dutch group of Ally, and of course also an important support by sponsors and organizers of fringes, including of course the ALDE group and ALDE party, the Lib Dems from the United Kingdom, ELF, FNF, D66, of course, the other Dutch Liberal Party, IFLRI, JOVD, LIMEC, NIMD, and many, many others. The work done by the interpreters into French and English, the work done by the volunteers that have been, you haven't seen them too much, but they have been around doing a lot of stuff and helping that this Congress could proceed smoothly. Thank you also, of course, to the delegates for traveling and participating and making alive what it is today. And I would like also, of course, to thank the Secretariat, starting with its Secretary General, Emil Kyrios, whom I've known for many, many years, much before I became a member of the Bureau, and also, of course, Anne, Tamara, William, Robert, and a former member of the Secretariat, Antonella, who has been our photographer for this Congress. Thank you. Now, it's important also to quickly recognize the work of some people who are leaving the Bureau, and we have CD2 Redo, whom I would like to invite to the stage. CD, could you please come up? We are going to thank you for your years of work in Ally. Thank you, and I have something for you. It's Thank you. It's a book by Liberal International called Political Landscapes by Antonella Fabiani, the member of our Secretariat, of course. And it portrays our international work. Congratulations and thank you very much. Yeah, we will still be working together. Thank you. I would like to invite John Lord Alderdice, our past president, who is formally leaving the Bureau as past president, but who will be invited to attend also in his new capacity as the director of the Center for Resolution of Intractable Conflict at Oxford. Thank you, John, for your work all these years. This is a nice event to know. Now, it's almost anticlimactic to say that Hans has had a successful presidency. It's been an amazing presidency, Hans. And the audience has recognized it by naming you, the Executive Committee, and the Congress, President of Honor of Liberal International. That means that you stay in the Bureau. You don't get a book, but, but you do get a video, if it works. I would also like to recognize, because it's always them who actually bear a lot of the burden of our political work, the family of Hans van Balen, his wife, his son, and his mother-in-law. Thank you very much for letting us have Hans all these years. Thank you. Now you get a book, so you come up here because we're going to give you the photographs that were included in this video.
Dear friends, the moment when I met my wife and I married her, that was the most important moment of my life. When Robert was born, it was the second most important moment in my life. Apart from that, it has been an honor to be active in Liberal International. Not only as president, but also holding the case of Frits Bolkestein. That was my start as a kind of Sherpa. To be active on the bureau, to be active, let me say, as president. It has formed, for a large extent, my life. Because if you're a politician at home and you will not travel, you will have fixed ideas about foreigners, foreign people, foreign countries. But if you meet people, if you discuss with them, you can only come to one conclusion. We're all alike. We're all the same. We share the same values. We share the same aspirations. So you should not be afraid of the world or of the European Union. You should engage. You should go out. You should also protect the values and the rights of other people. Because if you don't, there will be a time when nobody protects you if you need it. You combine that kind of liberalism with a free market for free people. And to be in the forefront of this organization, to be able to do those things, and to be a little bit naughty in Nicaragua, to be thrown out by the Sandinistas. Well, they tried, they didn't succeed. That was not because I was that smart, because they forgot to do what they said. And that is maybe exemplary of the Ortega regime. They say A and they do B. And then the Maidan Square, to stand there, not for extreme forces, but to stand there for people, normal people, not against Russia, not for immediate membership of the European Union, but for a decent state in which all the rights of people are protected. And then you have to stand there. And I will know that also Julie will stand there at that right moment, like John has done, like Annemie Nets, Frits Bolkestein, David Steele, Otto Lambsdorff, Adolfo Soares, and all those activists within Liberal International. When Frits Bolkestein was president, I never thought that I would be president, because we had already a Dutch president, so I think it will take many years. So I was delighted to be able to his successor, well, his far away successor. I know that Otto Lambsdorff and Gaston Thorn were the two presidents of honor of Liberal International. Especially Otto Lambsdorff I knew well. That man who brought his country back into the civilized world, that's much more than I have done. So I feel very much honored to be, after him, the next president of honor. What I will do is I will act like John Alderdice has done as my past president, to be available when asked, to serve when asked, And if nobody asks, I will be there. I will just follow the discussions, maybe take part of it. Because this is my home. This is my family, with my family. And I thank VVD that it has made possible my activities within Liberal International. And that so many, also yesterday, the Prime Minister, but also other ministers, come to show that they care. I wish Liberal International under Julie Minoves the best time ahead. I thank the Secretariat and the Secretary General Emil Kirias, Robert Windraken, William Townsend, Tamara Dancheva, and who is in between. I thank them all for what they've done. Antonella, who left us to be self-employed, but she didn't leave us. She's here. She's there. I thank all the officers with whom I've worked and the volunteers, and I can say, not adieu, au revoir. Thank you.
I have here the certificate of award. Delegates assembled at the 59th Congress of the Liberal International, on proposal of Dutch Prime Minister and VVD leader Mark Rutte, unanimously decided to award Hans van Baalen, MEP, the title of President of Honour for very outstanding merits to liberalism and to the Liberal International. Signed, Dr. Julie Minoves, President of Liberal International. We are not done, because I think we have a surprise from South America. Am I right?
My name is Hans van Baalen. I'm president of Liberal International, and I salute Chilean liberals, and especially young Chilean liberals. I was 25 years ago a young liberal from the Netherlands, and I came to your first free elections in 1989, and I was impressed by the young liberals of Chile, as I'm impressed now with the young leadership of the Partido Liberale de Chile. And I can only say, young liberals in Chile, fight on. You have to have more position, you have to have more seats in parliament, in local communities, because the liberals of Chile will make Chile a better place.
Please come up to the stage. Vlado has the floor.
If you don't mind. We came to the Netherlands from Chile, a country far, far away from here, which has a great democratic tradition. Only one time in our history, during the 20th century, our democratic tradition was broken. It was under the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet, when Chile experienced 17 years of violence and human rights violations. We stand here today representing our country, and specifically our President Michelle Bachelet and the Chilean Minister of Foreign Affairs Heraldo Muñoz. Chile wants to honor and thank its friend Hans van Baalen for its involvement in Chile's transition to democracy. Because of Hans's cooperation with the Chilean liberals and his activities as international observer during the first democratic presidential elections since Augusto Pinochet, young people like Vlado and Ivan today live in freedom and democracy. It is therefore that, on behalf of our President Michelle Bachelet and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, our party is proud to award Hans with the Bernardo O'Higgins Medal of Honor. The medal is named after a heroic Chilean liberator and is the highest award a foreigner can receive from the Chilean government. So, Lalo.
Vlado, Ivan, Annelies, thank you very much. It deeply moves me, like the presidency of honor. Dutch say always, it was not necessary. But it is really a pleasure. Thank you.
Dear Liberal friends, you have elected me as the Liberal President, and I am genuinely humbled. I thank you with my full heart. I am actually quite moved here today, and I will work hard to repay your trust. It is not every day, you can imagine, that an Andorran is elected to represent over 120 political parties and an international organization that reaches the world. I believe this fact alone, that you have entrusted the leadership of Liberal International to a former foreign minister from a small European state like you did decades ago to a former Prime Minister of Luxembourg, shows how we Liberals practice what we preach. We are true internationalists, mindful, respectful of nations that are large and small. We value the power of the individual, of human beings equal in rights, free to develop their potential. We are also at Liberal International a family, sometimes with differences of opinion, but a true family, a real team, to quote yesterday's opening words by Hans van Baden, that assembles to celebrate our heritage since 1947, but also to work on the future. This is what I would like to talk about, the future. Francis Fukuyama, 2 decades ago, pronounced the end of history, and liberal values victorious over communist regimes and despotic polities. It might have seemed so back then. It does not look like that from today's perspective, and especially, I would say, from this liberal podium. Democracy, human rights, freedom of the press, freedom of conscience and religion, freedom to assemble and to speak your mind, are not fruits hanging low from trees. Human beings have had to conquer them with sweat and blood, persuasion and ideas, books and revolutions. And once achieved, permanence is not guaranteed. Ask the people of Venezuela today, who may have sort of an electoral democracy, but whose freedoms in between elections are curtailed in the most appalling ways. Ask the journalists of South American countries who cannot write what they want for fear of retaliation. Ask gays and lesbians in Russia, just to name one country, who cannot exercise their freedom of speech without the possibility of being arrested, or who risk being sent to jail or sentenced to death in scores of other countries around the world. Ask the participants in many movements resulting from the Arab Spring if their aspirations have been met. Ask peoples in Asia if economic prosperity should preclude political freedoms. as politicians in many parts of the world who risk life and limb just because they dare to raise their voice and be counted in their opposition towards entrenched regimes. No. No, 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 my dear liberal friends. Democracy and respect for human rights are not part of a package that we receive at birth out of the blue given by Merlin the magician. They are something we need to work on every day against erosion from populism, from fear of the other, from flawed but all-encompassing ideologies, and in the end, from closed minds, closed borders, closed cultures, and I would say closed hearts. The future, dear colleagues, is in our hands, and I would dare to say in our liberal hands. We have been entrusted with ideas that find their origin in the 19th century, in the 18th century, fight against obscurantism. Ideas that were the object of much reflection in the 19th and 20th centuries by the likes of Adam Smith, Alexis de Tocqueville, John Stuart Mill, Isaiah Berlin, and many, many others. Ideas that we have adopted in our foundational Oxford Manifesto and all documents approved by Liberal International in the past 7 decades. But we are not only about ideas, we are about action. We are a pulsing, strong organization with a spine made of steel. Look, dear friends, at our competitors. The socialists lost in an ideological limbo and with a membership that does not seem to know where their core values lie anymore. The conservatives clinging to a world oblivious of globalization and paralyzed by populist encroachment on the right, on their right. We are the only international that is active at the United Nations, the only one, where we do not fear to confront head-on injustice and authoritarianism. We are the only international where debate is robust and where we are not afraid to ask difficult questions to those parties who want to join us. We are the only political international that has freedom at its core, civil and political freedom, economic freedom. In this, our quest for freedom in the next few years, I want our Liberal International to play a major role. We can only do so if we look at the task ahead as a team. And that means that I do not see the Bureau, obviously, as a socialist presidium or a conservative hierarchy. The Bureau is a group of equals, respected leaders in their respective countries and political parties, who have to roll their sleeves, like Prime Minister Rutte reminded us last night, to work in achieving our goals. I see the joys and burdens of the Allied presidency as a shared responsibility we are with our fellow members of the Bureau. For the first time, we have a deputy president from outside of Europe, Helen Zille, whom I visited, as I told you before, in Cape Town and invited to run. Kishore Faulkner, Cecilia Willström, Marcus Lönning, Zevdet Charadov, Kazit Piromia, Robert Woodruff Brown, and Shi-Chung Liu are a diverse, hard-working group of liberals that I trust and cherish for the years ahead. I'm very happy with the Bureau we have. Of course, we will still have in the Bureau Hans van Ballen as honorary president, and I will ask, we will have Hans van Ballen, but we will also have